What's up, friends and family? It's Brian Castrillo, and I just watched episode 2 of The Terminalist, and my goodness, this show just keeps getting better and better. If you're not watching this, you need to be. It's on Amazon Prime, and I highly recommend this because Chris Pratt, what he is doing right here is fucking brilliant. I believe he's the executive producer and, of course, the main star in this, but it also stars Taylor Kitsch, who is his brother. And good Lord, this is so good. Now, the first episode, we left it off where he had just, killed one guy and stabbed another guy in the arm who was trying to kill him in when he was getting the MRI, only to come home to find his daughter and his wife murdered. And then you hear the sirens coming. And now we hear, the beginning of episode 2. And this is just heartbreaking because he's basically burying his daughter and his wife. And of course, all his military is around it. And the one thing I got to say, what Chris Pratt has really done phenomenal in this is his body language. Now, he is clearly suffering from PTSD throughout this whole thing. And just everything just the little nuances from the flaring nostrils, the way he positions his body, his breathing, just from the headaches, rubbing his eye, just little things. When you're watching this little nuances, this may be some of Chris Pratt's best work, and I love him. He's one of my favorite actors, without a doubt. So after this, now I may jump back and forth because I'm going to try and paint a picture of kind of what's going on. So after this, after the funeral, he's laying on the ground where his wife and daughter were buried, and he's clearly distraught. And I believe it's a preacher who came up to him and he says, what, you don't need to be alone right now. And Chris Pratt, who plays Reece, he says, I don't want to leave them. He's heartbroken. But the preacher said that, well, there's other ways to commune. And basically that leads to another scene where you got his brother Ben, played by Taylor Kitsch, the preacher, and then another woman, I'm forgetting her name, but they're all sitting around a campfire on the beach in the ocean. That scene, I absolutely love it. I mean, he was obviously going through some things during that, but just a wonderful scene. I miss the ocean, but they actually got Reece to smile through this, and before he eventually just remembered that his wife and daughter are gone, but he was able to get that moment through his family. But he wants to go home, and he goes home. And this series is very good at showing the different effects that's going on through his PTSD, and he's having flashbacks. He's starting to see things. When he gets to his house, he picks up a drawing that his daughter did, and we saw this drawing in episode 1. And when he had come home from his mission, when the other SEAL team members who were under him had got killed out there, he asks his daughter, when did you do this? And she's like, oh, silly, I showed you that I made it right before you left. And then we flash back to that scene, and it's a really cute scene. Like, his wife she's smiling on the couch with a cup of coffee, and Chris Pratt has a guitar. I've always wanted acoustic guitar. I love this scene. And then his daughter, she's creating that drawing that we saw, and he's saying, if you don't show it to me, I'm going to start singing. And just the complete silliness, wonderful moment. And then all of a sudden, the window, we hear a noise, and a blackbird had, ran right into it. And the daughter, of course, is concerned, and they're trying to consult that, saying that the bird will be okay. Just a really cool moment. But then he comes to, and he sees, or he thinks he sees someone coming through the door, and then he hears something. So he gets his gun. He's going through the house, and he opens the door, and he sees himself looking at the drawing. Just every moment in this is real. Have you ever seen something that you just could not look away from? Like, it was just so good that you didn't want to miss a moment. That's what this is. That's what the terminal list is. And I'm starting to realize what that terminal list means. As I go through this, I'm going to come back to that, what I think it means. Because now we also have the reporter who is trying to get, information from Reece. And she meets him at his house. Now, I'm going to be jumping from different scenes because I just want to try and paint this picture. But the scene where the reporter, she comes to his house and she wants him to sign a medical waiver so she can get the MRI for him. But he says, I want to see the police report for his brother in arms, Boozer, because he believes that because in the first episode, remember, he said like he knew his guns and that's not what he would use. That's just not him. He would not go out like that. And we find out that from that report that the NCIS guy who is assigned to Reece trying to figure this out, he was first on the scene at Boozer's house. And also, she went to where the MRI and she met with this NCIS guy, and this was really cool. Like, if you like crime drama, this is really cool. Like, she went into the room where what happened in episode 1, and you got the red yarn showing the trajectory of the bullets. You see everything that happened. The blood spatter from the doctor is still on the back of the wall. And one of the things that she says that, as he's showing her these different things, is that he's saying that he's saying that Reece really believes him, and I want to believe him, but I'm just trying to figure this out. And he talks about how Reece said that there was 2 guys and one guy died there in his own pool of blood, but he says that and I was first on the scene, and that's what he tells the reporter, which that's what she tells him. And they're starting to put 2 and 2 together, or at least Reece is, and that he's first in the scene there. Well, the opportunity for him to clean that up, because he got there before any of the hospital or anybody got there. Which so he realized that he would have had to been on the scene already. And then he was first on the scene at Boozer's. Now what this series is doing really well is they're painting a picture that makes it hard to determine what really happened, and as we're getting this, putting this stuff together. Now he goes to the Admiral's house, and he's like, saying to him, like, well, not his house, like his office, and he's ploying with him, we need Interpol, we need everything on this is there with high-tech stuff, and he thinks that maybe it's related to his high-profile mission where he was going after, this Iranian terrorist, and believes that he maybe infiltrated, American military, and he's trying to get him killed. And the Admiral, he's like, clearly you're speaking freely, so I'm going to go ahead and start speaking freely. And the Admiral just starts going off and like talking about his wife and his daughter. And remember what I was saying about body language and how Chris Pratt is doing this really well. As you're watching this, like you see just subtle movements of the head, and then he's rubbing his eyes, and you can feel the anger seething out of Reece, and eventually he grabs the Admiral, throws him up against the wall. Now, mind you, there was another commander that was in the room with him. I wasn't sure on the rank. I missed that, but he didn't do anything. Like, he didn't really stop him, but I just found that to be kind of interesting. And then he walked away, but the Admiral's saying, trying to say like, we did all this stuff for you, and we're looking out for you and whatever. So now all this is going on. Now, again, like I'm saying, they're doing a very good job at showing you one side where he clearly seems to have PTSD and he's having these issues. He's seeing things like he did at his house. But then there's these little nuggets of information that that maybe Reece is right and that these people are after him. So now, Taylor, he brings this information to his brother Ben, who's played by Taylor Kitsch, who is also doing a brilliant job in this. And he first, he's like, "Are you okay?" Like he checks on his brother and and gives him these pills to help with his headaches, but ultimately that's family, so he's going to help him out and try and figure this out for him. And so what he does is Reece goes to the apartment where the NCIS guy is living, and he pretends like he's trying to move in. He's asking about security. He took a picture of the locks, which he brought that information back home and learned how to pick the lock of where they lived. And then he goes back and he takes a picture of his computer that's laying on there, and he uploads all the information from the computer. They bring it back and they find out that this NCIS guy actually took his prints 2 days prior to the murder. So now you got this information that this guy clearly did something weird, unless he's imagining these things, because that's where they're going kind of back and forth. But we find out that he took these prints 2 days prior, and so that's really kind of weird. And remember, he's first on the scene with Boozer's death and first on the scene where he was attacked at the MRI place. But then he comes back with Boozer's weapon, and they both come to the conclusion that this guy is effed up, fucked up, and he's doing something. So he gives him the same type of gun that Boozer would normally use instead of the gun that they planted, or at least that's what it appears to be at Boozer's death when they said that he killed himself. So then Reece, he's done, and he's got the beanie cap. He's all dressed in black, the gloves and everything. He's got Boozer's gun with the silencer on it. He breaks in, like he's James Bond, and of course the NCIS guy's sleeping there. He comes in, he grabs his gun, takes it, and puts his, that gun that he brought in, Boozer's type of weapon, into the guy's mouth, and he wakes him up, and he's basically saying, and he tells him everything he knows, and he's like, this is not true, I'll just pretend nothing happened. But then at the end, he basically, Reece got to him, and he throws out a name. And remember what I said, the terminal list? I believe this list, like, we are creating a list of people that are all behind this, that Reece is trying to figure out. But ultimately, Reece, after he released that name, he shot him because he got up and started attacking Reece, and then he ended up killing him. But then he laid the gun. So it was self-defense, but he laid the gun in his hand, made it look like he killed himself, kind of similar to what he did to Boozer. And he made sure, the details that he was talking about with Boozer with the gun in his mouth, it was absolutely chilling. But the details, I absolutely love this. And then as he left, like, the final scene, you see Reece just kind of walking out, and you got the American flag. It's night, and it's just highlighting on that, he's an American soldier, and just wow. Like, what did you guys think of this? Like, this is that series that, or that show, that movie that just kind of keeps you on edge, that you cannot look away. Like, I am so in tune to this. Every episode has been very good. It's your drama, it's crime, it's detective, it's military, it's murder, it's mayhem, it's beautiful. This whole Chris Pratt, this is an amazing series, and I cannot wait till episode 3. I'll probably try and watch that either tomorrow or maybe the next day, sometime this weekend, but I'm going to watch it soon, and of course post here. But I want to know what you guys thought. Now, if you guys watched it past episode 2, please don't mention that in the comments. But what did you guys think on that, this episode? Now, keep in mind, I did not read the book, and it is a best-selling book. The more I watch this, the more I kind of want to read that book. But what did you guys think of this episode? What do you guys think of so far? Do you think that this is just PTSD and he's failing, or is this, this stuff a reality? Now, and then one other scene that I forgot to mention, he meets a politician in a bar that's frequented by a lot of military, and this politician we saw in the first episode. And one little detail, if you watch everybody who's in there, all their phones start buzzing. They get up, and on the news we hear that Iranian terrorist that the whole mission was about, that he spent years trying to get to him, our military killed him and took him out. And the politician comes up and says, I know how difficult it is to bring work home with you, but your mission is over. He's dead. There's no, you don't have to do this anymore. And that moment makes me think that maybe she's kind of in it. Maybe there is some kind of cover up. But again, you see the PTSD. It's literally, this is absolutely brilliant. Did you guys love it as much as I did? Well, I'll be back, for episode 3 right here on this channel. If you're enjoying this, please hit that like. And if you're not already subscribed, it would be my honor if you would do that. Let's talk about this. Tell me in the comments what you thought. Love you guys. See you episode 3.